Welcome to RHI's Sociable City Interviews, where we meet with global thought leaders on nightlife and the social economy. Today, we are joined by Sergeant Garth House, the coordinator of policing services and strategies in Des Moines' Court Avenue Historical District, the hub of entertainment activities in Iowa's capital city, hosting one of the nation's top ranked farmers markets, large holiday celebrations, and thousands of visitors who enjoy the weekend nightlife of the district. Sergeant House has built solid and sustainable relationships with a diverse group of restaurateurs, event planners, and other stakeholders. Hey, Garth, great to see you. And I'm happy you could take the time to meet with me. I think it's really important to get the perspective of people who work in public safety on the front lines, sharing what they've seen in terms of the evolution of their districts. But why don't you just give a quick kind of snapshot of what you do in your role in particular relative to what we call social districts or nightlife districts?
Sure. So I'm the sergeant in charge of our officers that work in our entertainment district. I've been doing that since probably about 2012, and before as a supervisor doing it, as an officer actually working it. In that role, we work with the bars and restaurants or in our entertainment district and uh, coordinate our efforts with officers around patrol.
Hmm, okay. And so you've been doing this actually now, what, almost more than 10 years. So you've seen changes. Um, and one thing that I like to ask is, we always have this pre-COVID, post-COVID social behavior. So now you're dealing with the people, and I know you're a college town, so you've got a lot of college students that grew up not going to high school. They grew up in their bedrooms and really were isolated. And now they're the ones that are entering the public space. And I've heard reports about how people are socializing differently and what they're looking for is different and some of their behaviors are different. Have you seen a change in how people socialize post COVID?
So immediately after COVID, you could really see a difference there, especially in the young people. We weren't getting those college age students coming down to the entertainment district. Over the last couple of years, we've progressively gotten more of those students coming down, but not like we did before. I think that there's still a lot of activities that students attend to on their campus. And I think there's been more uh, efforts by those campuses to kind of keep the students there on the there to engage in those activities.
Oh, okay. So the university and the colleges have been more prone to create these social activities. And so you see that's impacting your nightlife. But obviously, I think you mentioned you have a little over 30 social venues in a concentrated area. So how many people do you think that draws on a busy Friday and Saturday night?
Well, pre-COVID, I'd say it'd be very realistic to expect 7,000 to 8,000 people. At bar closed now, we're probably looking at probably 5,000 to 6,000 people. I'd say.
Hmm. All right, so it's become a little bit more manageable. Now you're also involved with you have these farmers markets and daytime festivals, and that's also part of your responsibility too.
That is correct. Our farmers market is one of the largest in the country. We average 25,000 people a Saturday, but we've had several Saturdays so far this year where we've gone over 50,000 by estimates. So that's one thing that I've noticed since COVID is that uh, there's been a lot more activities during the day that people frequent. Maybe not so much going to the bars at night, but certainly going to uh, these markets, festivals in the afternoons and evenings, things of that nature.
Mm. So you have seen a difference, and for me, farmers markets are just not about buying food. It's a very social activity. It's a way people meet and they talk to the farmers and they talk with each other. And I don't know if farmers market is like where I am, but we have places for kids to play or we have musicians, and it's really like a public event. Now, when you're talking 25,000 people, I mean, that's a large group of people. That's like having a stadium empty out. And do you feel you're chasing similar challenges with behaviors, or do you think it's just a different demographic, and you don't have the same challenges with mobility or public disruption or things like that.
I think it's a different atmosphere. You have a lot of people, especially with small children. There's a lot of kids activities going on, whether it be someone making balloon animals or face painting, or maybe some musicians that are catering towards the kids. It's more relaxed. You don't have the people, the attendees that are hyped up from the stadium, the game, and it's a very social event. It's very like calm event. I've got lots of officers wanting to work it because it's a really good gig because
Hmm.
everyone's happy and things just go well. And yeah, it's just great to get out and be able to talk to people and see people uh, when things are going well. Right, a lot of times when we show up to things, things aren't going well in people's lives, and the opportunity to have people or meet with people and talk to them uh, when things are, it's good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Now moving into the nightlife, because that's really where a lot of people are interested in this topic. Um, as somebody who works in public safety and policing, venues, a lot of them have struggled to stay open. I mean, all over the world, you see these nightclubs and music venues and other, even restaurants now are facing challenges in staffing and staying open, and sometimes they get into promotions that might be riskier. Um, but I know that in your work, you engage more with the venue operators and work with them on their security. Have you seen any changes or trends in terms of how well venues are being managed, or do you think they're getting more competitive with each other and maybe doing riskier things?
So we're pretty fortunate where a lot of our operators have good relationships with each other down here. And a lot of them have been long term, so they've known each other for years and years. And sometimes they collaborate on events. Whether it be like a fundraiser, bar crawl, that kind of thing. And the uh, the opportunity to interact with these operators on a weekly basis. They can tell me about their concerns. They ask me for suggestions, and then I can help to, if there are issues, I can help to kind of smooth things out before they become a bigger issue. Um, I haven't seen, I would say, if anything, like the promotions in the past, where $5 all you can drink, um, you know, 2 for 1 or 1 for 1 or whatever. Um, I'd say that those operators that were doing that have kind of fallen away uh, from at least our area, and so we're not
Hmm.
really seeing that tendency towards excessive, drinking, uh, that kind of environment.
Mhm. So you have a pretty stable business community. Obviously, staying in business means that they are actually doing something right, and they have a good management approach. Um, and one of the things I think that I want to ask you about is just this every year you get a whole new flock of students coming into town. And in some ways, your officers are probably there to help teach them civility as much as it is to enforce any laws. Is there any ways that your officers are trained or take a different approach to young people who really just they don't know how to act in these public spaces, and the venues have to also be part of a kind of training people in civility and how to interact with each other. Do you see that is more important now, or is it less important in terms of the role of police and the role of venues?
I think it's just as important as ever. I think with the way that we police down there in our entertainment district, we're out on foot, we're mingling with people. I encourage my officers to have like positive interactions. They're down there getting selfies with these guys and everything else. Um, we want to be the person that if they need help that they can come to. We don't want to be you know feared or uh, you know people to be scared to come to us. We're trying to, as you say, educate people. Hey, you've had too much to drink. Let's get you a ride. Let's find some friends for you. Let's get you to where you need to be, as opposed to, our first course of action to arrest them. That doesn't solve anything other than solves the problem right now. And if we can, help these students, these young people learn, uh, kind of expectations of how to function in that kind of environment, uh, that pays dividends down the road, because they're also going to hopefully be a positive influence on the next crop of students that are coming down the next year. And
Hmm.
so with that approach, we've had, pretty good success as far as like uh, our arrests are really, really down. Um,
Hmm.
I was thinking that before we got on, the difference over the last 10 years has been, remarkable. From, you know, we might arrest one person a weekend now out of 5,000 people, which is pretty good.
Hmm.
In years before, we had, it was a much different environment then. So
Yeah.
I'd say that the having those positive interactions with those students, and kind of letting them know what the expectations is, and also having those positive influences, I think is paid dividends for us.
Yeah. Now, when we talk earlier, I really want to get like an insight in terms of you more recently introduced kind of a transport hub or a pickup drop off place, because when we look at nightlife districts in particular, particularly in the evening and then later at night, you have competition for curbside, curbside management. And everybody wants a piece of that real estate, and even now when you're adding bike lanes to these curbside areas, now you're creating almost some barriers for your traditional uses of the curb. But you have obviously with COVID, you had an increase in the pickup for take-home deliveries. So you have Uber Eats and those types of services coming to get the food from the restaurants. Then you have the the ride share programs, the taxi programs. I know you mentioned party buses that have been part of the social environment, and then you start adding electric bikes and electric scooters and all of these other micromobility vehicles that are coming to create this space. So can you map out, just for the sake of a really comprehensive overview of the evolution of your approach to mobility management with crowd control and things that you've integrated and what you're doing now in terms of this pilot program and the lessons that you're learning that other cities might learn?
Sure. So when I first came on and started spending a lot of time working in that entertainment district, uh, we noticed two things. We noticed that we had a ton of party buses, and we also had a ton of cabs. And so people are always trying to, uh, get picked up at a certain place by a cab, and there's no place for them to park because all the parking was full. Same thing with the party buses. They pull up and they just stop in the traffic lane, open their doors, and let people go spilling out. And that was causing, some concerns about, the possibility of someone getting hit by a car, as well as traffic congestion, with them impeding the flow of traffic. So we worked with the cab company and established a cab stand, and they wanted to hire two officers to kind of manage the line and make sure no one was jumping the line and everyone behaved themselves. And also, we established a party bus lane on Friday and Saturday nights, so the buses could pull up and directly allow their passengers to go onto the sidewalk instead of out in the street. And that also served another purpose of being able to kind of keep an eye on the people getting on and off the buses in case there's any conflict. We didn't have to worry about a bus offloading around the corner where there's no way around, and there could potentially be some problems. And we made that pretty much in the center of our entertainment district, so that way people could access all those 30 some liquor establishments. This time has progressed. Uber and Lyft has become, and other rideshare programs has become more of a thing, and the cab stand went away. But especially with the help when you guys came and did your study, we were able to get some traction and get a rideshare lane established here just a couple months ago. And as we're progressing, we're kind of finding that we're trying to hit that sweet spot for how much space you need. You need to balance uh, the space for your ride share along with managing public parking as well for people to come down. So we're trying to figure that out. We have loading zones that we've have established for the uh, your Uber Eats and your other food delivery systems, and we do have a pretty comprehensive rental e-bike system here in town, which is very popular. And we go and block a section of the our 10 district off, and people will go and ride their bikes through there, and it's the efficient way for them to travel around.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you've got a lot of different mobility options. So you say you close the street. This creates more of a space where people can use these e-bikes and transportation. Whereas if you left the street open, it would be more dangerous at night for them with the drivers and the Uber and Lyft trying to pick up passengers. So it seems like you've solved a lot of different mobility issues and challenges. Um, and in retrospect now, as you've evolved through all of this, what do you think the priorities should be for somebody setting up this integrated mobility system? What have been the lessons that you've learned? And most importantly, how has it changed things? How has it made your job in public safety and policing and traffic management different?
So I think being able to manage your flow of your traffic is absolutely like key to your nightlife. You have to be able to establish, especially like your buses, where you have a lot of people that tend to maybe drink more than they should. Um, be able to get them kind of corralled in one place. You can kind of monitor them, and also have space for your ride share, and so people can know that that's where they have to go to get picked up instead of, especially if they're an unfamiliar town visiting, trying to figure that out. We've done some work cleaning up our signage too down there in our district to make it easier for people from out of town to understand the various parking restrictions, especially like where we have our ride share space that we need to keep open for the ride shares to be able to drop people off and pick them up. Uh, as time progresses, it'll be. I'm kind of curious to see where the next trend goes for transportation. I know there's been some interest for those electric scooters like Birds and stuff like that, and there's a lot of people have their own private ones. So I'm kind of curious to see if there's an interest in that and if that's gonna to go that way, and then they'll take a whole other aspect of managing how people move and use those. Um, so we're already trying to forecast what's coming, and
Hmm.
uh, as we go to other places and see how they manage it, try to pick those best ideas that we can, and realizing that maybe the best idea for one place isn't going to be the best idea for us, but it'll give us at least a starting point. So, uh, yeah, I think the key takeaways for someone starting their own mobility plan, I would say, is managing those large passenger events or conveyances, and then your ride share.
Hmm. Do you still have officers assigned to this rideshare hub to kind of maintain control?
So I have myself, 6 officers on foot, and then there's a couple bars that do hire additional officers to kind of work around there. And so where we have that rideshare hub is a place where any given time there's 3 or 4 officers within a half a block and at least visual. So if there is any
Hmm.
issues, it's been knock on wood, it's been going very smooth, and we haven't had any issues. And I've been I've been way happier than I hope that this thing was working out as well as it is.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, this has been wonderful. It seems like you got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot of challenges, both in managing, I mean, 25,000 people for a farmer's market. Boy, that's it's like a stadium event. And then obviously your nighttime crowds and the nighttime venue operations. But it seems like you have a lot of good systems in place, good dedicated officers, good venues that work with you, good security. So it sounds to me like you're humming along here.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for your time and thanks for your input.
Well, thanks, Jim. It's good to see
Yeah.
you.